Does anybody have a question before we start the test? Remember that it's a translation test, okay? You are going to use Twitter. You're going to help each other out. You do have 2 lifelines per section. I sometimes allow my students to use Twitter as a lifeline on a test. And what happens is I give them a test on paper, and they have their iPods sitting on their desks, and I tell them they have a certain amount of lifelines per section. I make certain that students aren't asking for direct translations of entire sentences or things like that. Remember that you may not use a translator, you may not use Google Translate. Rely on a classmate to help you if you need help. You may comment on as many questions as you would like. However, you personally only have 2 lifelines to use, so use them wisely. I feel like it helps them become more comfortable on the test, especially for those learners who have anxiety about taking tests. So they're able to help a classmate out. They ask a question by tweeting that question about something directly related to the test, and a classmate can respond with some helpful information. I do want you to be able to help one another because it's about the content. It's not just always about memorization, but at the same time, you have to be held accountable for some of the material as well, okay? So it's almost like when you're on a job after you've graduated college and you're in a job and there's something you don't know. You're gonna go to the internet, you're gonna go to a reference, you're gonna go to someone in your building who may have that information. You're certainly not gonna go to your boss and say, you know, I don't know how to do this. So I think overall it's teaching kids how to use the tools that are available to them. You're gonna make one tweet about what you liked or what you didn't like, and then you're gonna comment on a classmate's tweet. I have some students who are incredibly intimidated when they walk into a Spanish classroom. To come into a foreign language classroom, especially in a level 2 or a level 3, where you are expected to retain information and you're expected to actually voice your opinions or use your vocabulary verbally, students can be very intimidated. And so by using Twitter, it allows some of the shyest students in the class or the students who are the most reluctant to participate to have their voices heard without having to speak aloud all the time. I think that they really feel comfortable with the fact that they are able to help one another, they're able to socialize, they're able to do something that feels very natural to them, even on things like a test. I think it alleviates the apprehension of delivering on a test. I think it opens up opinions. I think it deepens the classroom discussion. I think that they just feel that this is something that should go on in every classroom in some form or fashion. Maybe not Twitter, but something like this should be going on in every classroom. This is how education should be in the world that they live in.